So I had a little camera trouble earlier, and so this is a re-recording of not a particularly easy piece. The question over here, as we're going to get into it, and I'll just read the blurb and then I'll get into it. Same Shamniz Boyer Agav Orchim Kama Kavanos Gedolos. Different kinds. He calls these kavanos, as we're going to see, Vakama Milim Vakama Pesukim Min Atara V'Neviim V'Kesuvim. So we're going to go through all of these different things, and basically he's going to start talking about the concept of switches and ciphers. A cipher is a code. Now, nobody ever explained to me why we need codes. I can see from inference what the codes do. They hide the words that are behind them, so it's more of a limitation of light. It's matos of the or again. So let's read. We'll read across the top first, and then we'll get into the Tivagabanos. Daki Morizal, so this is the Morchu writing. Masalona Kamakabana V'Shemos B'Kol Teva V'Teva, he gave over to us all different kinds of kabanos, the names of and each and every word, and we're talking about Ketoret here. V'Lakol Echad Min HaChaverim Shehainda Chavasham Imo, so he had a group of people, and he was able to say a specific word that had to do with the root of this person's soul. As we're going to see like this, a word of the Ketoret that has to do with it. So he says, Amar Allah, so he would say to this person, that you should have a kavanah for one word in the pasuk. Now, later on, we're going to see what the pasuk is we talk about. Called echad ve'echad kafi shorsh nishmasa. So each one of these individuals would have a special word, which would go to the root of his soul. Which it begs the question: is that the power of the Ketoret? The Ketoret has some kind of temporal power, so it has the power to be able to unleash the kedusha that's within the kali. In other words, the falsehood, the distortion of our reality. The real reality is only one. That's Hashem Yisbarach. But everything else is this. We have lots and lots of distortions, and common distortions in every country and every geographical region. Becomes geopolitically different Weltanschauung. It's a different view of what's going on. But I don't remember. He says each one of them, but I don't remember. But I do remember these three words. Called Achas Teva Hakavanot. So each one of the words really was a word that was fit for each one of these three people. Ha'achas he, the word samim. Samim, because in the pasuk samim appears twice, so he says the samim arishon sheba pasuk techila. So tachlif osam, using a cipher, a code which is called Ayich Becher. Now I think maybe it is that some way I'll understand why they use this code. Why this code? Because there's lots of codes. So why this one? And if you switch that word samim, using the technique called Ayich Becher, you're going to get this word, matko. So we have to understand what's Ayich Becher. What is it? How's it work? Matko hu shem kadosh ve'eni zocher nekudosov. So it's a holy name, and I don't really remember all of its vowels. He says, I don't remember. So this is Marachu writing from notes, recalling in his own mind. He's just a human being who has somehow the ability to be able to absorb this tremendous bit of eternity from the Holy ARI. So now we have the Tiv. The Tiv is really able to understand the Marachu in a deeper way and bring it down to us. So we're on number ratio test. It's over here. We're going to be doing the mostly the light print. V'daki Morizal, and he's talking about the ARI. He says, Harav Masolana Kama Kavanos. He gave over us a whole bunch of different Kavanos. And he said, Havakama Shemas Kadoshim Miyotzim Mikal Teva V'Teva, and how many different types of names that come out of every single word. Now, some kind of switch is V'Teva V'Shel Zecha Pasuk, and in this particular pasuk. each one of the words in this pasuk had a chaver. Let's just count up the words too. Oh, he doesn't have them all here. V'yomer Hashem al Moshe kach l'chasamim nata v'shchedes chasamim. We have to go back over there and count them up. I think there's 13. There's not 13 words. There's 13 different simonim that we're going to go through there. Because she'omer pasuk zeh, so when you say this pasuk, akre pita makatoris la'atzar magefer, you're saying this for this purpose. You're saying it for the purpose. This is a technique that we could use in a plague. So we should work on it. He says, each one of them that was with him. Let's read on the next page. All of them with him. One of the words of the pasuk should have the kavanah on it. So whatever the words of that pasuk are, how many words there are, that's how many chaverim were there at that time. Hashem is hakavanot v'chayichudim shaychem l'mila zu bilvad, but only for this person and only that. Zu hakavanot shecharav nasan l'kol echad ve'echad. This is the kavanah that Rav gave to each and every one. Rak b'mila u'v'teva achad shal pasuk, only in one word, one word, or one letter rather, one word, yeah. U'v'teva achad, one letter. Achaz shal pasuk. He kafi shorsh nishmaso shal chaver. Each one was according to the root of the soul of that chaver. Sha'amalo lekaven ba'os ha'teva b'daika, because he says this is the word that you have to have kavana on. Im kavana in kavana sashaychas l'shorsh nishmaso, because it really pertains to the root of that person's soul. Ve'ini zachem, and he says, okay, but I don't remember them. The Marchul Kosev, he says that's what happened, but exactly the distinctions I don't remember. Marchul Kosev rather writes like this: so he says that only from that pasuk that we're talking about, he says he only remembers 3 words. Shemasa osam arav l'shlosh chaverim, and the Rav gave this to 3 different chaverim. Now, how's it go? Shemasa arav la'edach shlosh talmidim. So what he gave over to these 3 talmidim, the kavin called echad b'teva achas, to have a kavanah for each one of them in one of the words, one of the letters. Hoysed lo the kavanah miyuchedes dafkalo. So he had a specific kavanah that you need to do. And here what you're trying to do is you're trying to stem a plague. So in order to do that, you have to change the manifest letters of the letter samach, for example, of samim. You have to switch that to a different letter. Now, it seems to me that what it's doing is a flow of evil coming your way. I mean, of bad. It's going to destroy you. So you switch these letters, and this has the effect of being able to stem the flow of the plague. So he says, Shehi hashayech l'shorsh nishmaso. So each one of those people actually had a root in the cure. Hakavanot rishonim in the shlosh kavanot b'pasuk hanas shenasan arav the lemida the kaven. He says the kavanot he b'tevis samim. So we're going to take the word samim. Samach mem yud mem. And his keres rishonim b'pasuk kach l'chasomim, because the pasuk, this is the first time you say it. The pasuk says kach l'chasomim. So then he said tachlif esa osios. You're going to do a switch in letters. And this switch in letters has the ability to be able to, what I say, fight the plague. Shall tevis samin ba'osius alpha beta shall Ayich Becher. Now the question is, what is Ayich Becher? Here's these 2 words, Ayich Becher. This is actually the name of a switch, of a code, of a cypher. The cypher is called Ayich by the name of the first set. So it goes like this, Ayich Becher. So these are switchable letters, and then it says Galash Damas Hanuk, Sam, Zan. He says Hafaf and Hafaf and Tzatzit. Now he has to say how this. He's showing you how this works. Now let me just go over this again. The Ayich Becher. So he says. It goes like this. The first letter is Aleph of each set: Base, Gimel, Daled, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Ches, Tes. Okay, so these are what I call the integers. V'oven shalosh osios rishonos, which are Ayik, heim kolulos me'achodim. So this is the integers. Then the Yud is Masra Mesaros, which is the tens, Mumeos, and of hundreds. The Haim Mischalpim Ba'ofen Zeh, so they switch like this. Anytime you see an Aleph, it can be switched. Shehi Ba'achodim, Mischalefes Ba'os Rishona Shal Asaros, so it switches into the first letter of the tens. So in this case, it would be able to switchable to the letter Yud. And then you take the letter Yud, Shehi Os Yud. V'chein Os Yud, Shehi Os Rishona Merasara, so then the Os Yud, which is the first of the tens, right? It's 10. Mischalefes Ba'of Kuf. It switches for the Os Kuf, so that's Ayich Becher. So he says, Kuf, Shehi Os Rishona Mehameos, which is the hundreds, the first letter of the section of hundreds, which is going to be Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tov, so that's going upwards into 400. 400, then after that you go to the Mansapach, which he will explain elsewhere. V'zos Kuf Mischalefes, and it goes back in a circle, and it spreads back down to the Os Aleph. And this is the same way it goes when we're doing the second letters. Shehem Osius Becher. So we'll just do this one because you're going to go through every single letter. If you have a word that begins with a letter base, you can switch it to a kaf. If you have a letter that begins with a kaf, you can switch it to a resh. When you have a letter that begins with a resh, you go back to the bet. And this is a kind of a cipher. Now let's read a little bit more. We have Kaf Tes. We'll switch over here and we'll see. He's going to go through every single one of them. I'm not going to do this now. So if you do all the switches on the words samim, you get to the word, another word, which is called matko. Now he says, Keshemachlifim es tevis samim v'seder be'osir shal Ayich Becher. They come to the word matko. So we don't really have to explain. We're explaining how it is you do these switches. Of the Ayich Becher. He says because he is Vav Samach Mem, which is the basic letters of Samim. Let's see. He says Os Samim Mischalefes Ba'os Mem. Now let's see. Do we have this? We have the chart. He's going to have a chart on the next page. Be easiest. Oh, here it is. It's down here. So he says this is the chart. Ayich Becher. This is a different chart. So also looks interesting, but it's a different chart. Osius Vav Samach Mem, the Os Samach Mischalefes Ba'os Mem. Uva Osius Daled Mem Tov, his Os Mem Mischalefes Ba'os Tov. Uva Osius Ayik, so you have that. He says Ayik like that. He says Os Yud that's in there, Mischalefes Ba'os Kuf. So it just keeps moving to the one to the left, and then when it gets all the way to the left, it goes back and starts over again. Uva Osius Vav Samach Mem. The Os Mem Mischalefes Ba'os Vav. Hare L'cha Osius Samim. So now you have all the letters of Cham Mischalfos, the Osius Matku. Switches into that. So this has to be looked at and thought about. I think he's telling me, I'm really looking at the wrong answer. This is a recipe. This is a recipe for stemming a plague, according to the Riyah Kodesh. The last part is, he says, of Hu Shem Kadosh, so it is a holy name. Veini Zocha Nekudosu, but I don't remember really how to pronounce it. I don't remember its Nekudos. Marchu Kosiv She'ena Zocha Nekudosh Al Zeh Hashem HaKadosh Matku. This is Baruch Fleischman, Tikkun Elevator Kolo.